Good day, my name is Jeffrey Dani and welcome to Assessment of Student Learning Module 3, Validity and Reliability. At the end of this module, you are expected to identify terms related to validity and reliability, analyze concepts, principles, and procedures in ensuring the validity and reliability of the different methods of assessing the learning of students, and examine the sources of validity and reliability evidences. Validity term derived from the Latin word validus, which means strong. It pertains to the inference accuracy which teachers make about students based on the gathered information from an assessment. There are different sources of validity. 1. Content-related evidence. 2. Criterion-related evidence. 3. Construct-related evidence. Let's talk about content-related evidence, the extent to which the test covers the entire content domain. Adequate sampling of content can be done to materialize this. Performance of students in the test may be utilized as an indicator of his content knowledge. While criterion-related evidence, the degree to which test scores agree with an external criterion related to external validity, examines the relationship between an assessment and another measure of the same trait. Here's the type of criteria: achievement test scores, grades, ratings, and other numerical judgment made by the teacher, and career data. These are the types of criterion evidence: concurrent validity, an estimate of a current performance of student in relation to previously validated or established measures is provided by this type. The other one is predictive validity, pertains to the usefulness or power of test scores to predict future performance. Number 3, construct-related evidence, an assessment of the quality of the instrument based. Number 3, construct-related evidence, an assessment of the quality of the instrument used. Measure the extent on which the assessment is a meaningful measure on an observable trait or characteristic. In establishing construct validity, two methods may be used, and these are the following. 1. Convergent validation occurs when measures of constructs which are related are in fact observed to be related. Number 2. Divergent validation occurs when unrelated constructs are in reality observed not to be. Let's talk about unified concept of validity. And here are the 6 distinct construct validity aspects. Content. It is a parallel of content-related evidence which calls for content relevance and representativeness. Substantive. It refers to the theoretical constructs and empirical evidences. Generalizability. How score properties and interpretations generalize to and across population groups. Context and task is examined in this aspect. This is called external validity. Structural. How well the scoring structure matches the construct domains is being assessed in this aspect. External. Convergent and discriminant evidences taken from multi-trait, multi-method studies are included in this aspect. Consequential deals with the intended and unintended assessment effects on teaching and learning. In assessment methods other than traditional assessments, validity should be considered also. In developing performance, assessment's 3 steps are involved, and these are the following. Number 1, defining the purpose. Number 2, choosing the activity. Number 3, developing criteria for scoring. Defining the purpose. It involves identifying the essential skills students need to develop and the content worthy of understanding in order to have validity evidence with regards to content. There should be a review of performance assessment and should be done by qualified content experts. Choosing the activity. Valued activity should be reflected in the selected performance. The performance assessment completion should provide a valuable learning experience. Goals and objective statements should be clearly aligned with the measurable outcomes of the activity in the performance test. Performance tasks should not examine the unintended or extraneous variables. Performance assessment should be free from bias. Developing criteria for scoring. A rubric or rating scale has to be created in scoring. Distracting factors such as the handwriting of students and the product neatness affect rating of teachers must be careful. To avoid lowering the performance assessment validity, personal idiosyncrasies should be avoided. Let's talk about oral questioning. It has high validity in controlled conditions. Validity of assessment can be ensured through a checklist which defines the outcomes to be covered and the criteria or standards to be achieved. There should be a standard or structured list of questions for summative purposes. Let's talk about observations. The behavior of interest should be accurately described by the operational and response definitions. If evidence is properly recorded and interpreted, it will be considered highly valid. If additional strategies on assessment will be utilized with observation like surveys, interviews, and quantitative methods like tests, validity will be stronger. Let's talk about self-assessment. Students should be informed of the domain in which the task is embedded to increase validity. Students should be informed of the domain in which the task is embedded to increase validity. Students should be taught and at the same time learn how to assess the work objectively based on the clearly defined criteria and dismiss any interest bias. Students may be induced to make accurate assessment of their own performance if they will be informed that their self-assessment ratings will be compared to those made by their peers and teachers. A process will ensure the utilization of valid, effective, and demanding assessments for students is composed of the following steps. 1. Deconstruct the standards. 2. Align test items and thinking levels. 3. Create valid and reliable assessments. 4. Take the test items to the next level with rigor and importance. 5. Make assessment part of planning. The following are the general guidelines in constructing traditional tests. Take in consideration reasoning for testing, maintain consistency, utilize testing methods which are appropriate to learning objectives, help students prepare, utilize consistent language, design or construct test items which allow students to show a range of learning. The following are the defects in the construction of assessment tasks which can make assessment inferences inaccurate. Traditional tests and performance tests. Test directions which is unclear, vocabulary and sentence structure which are complicated, obscure statements, insufficient time limits. Brief constructed response and selected response item. Unsuitable difficulty level of test item. Poorly test items construction. Not appropriate test items for outcomes being measured. What is reliability? It refers to the reproducibility and consistency in criteria and methods, pertains to the obtained result of assessments and not to the test or any assessment tools or instruments. Also refer to how well a score represents students' ability and ensures that assessment measure accurately student knowledge. Here are the examples of reliability measures which are also considered as the different types of reliability, and these are the following. Number one, inter-rater. There will be two separate individuals who will evaluate and scores a test, performance or essay, which are given in a subject. Number two, test retest. On separate occasions, individuals take the same test and the scores obtained can be correlated by the teachers using the correlation coefficient as the estimate of reliability. Number three, parallel forms. The same group of individuals are given with two equivalent tests which measure same concepts, knowledge, abilities, and skills, and the scores can be correlated by teachers. Number four, split half. A test is divided into two sets of items. Scores gained by the students on half of the test is correlated with the scores of the said students on the other half of the test. Cronbach alpha. When analyzing multiple choice tests or Likert type scales, this is the most commonly reported measures of reliability. In terms of sources of reliability evidence, there are five classes, and these are the following. Number one, evidence based on stability. The test retest reliability is used to determine the test result stability over time. Number two, evidence based on equivalent forms. Parallel forms or reliability support the equivalency of forms. Number three, evidence based on internal consistency. Internal consistency signifies that a student who has the mastery learning will get all of most of the test items correctly, while a student who has little mastery or nothing about the subject matter will get most or all of the items wrong. Number four, evidence based on scorer or rater consistencies. Having multiple raters can increase reliability, like several items in a test can improve the reliability of a standardized test. Number five, evidence based on decision consistency. Decision consistency displays how consistent the classification decisions are. It is not how consistent the scores are. Reliability of performance assessment may be raised by constraining the domain coverage or by structuring the responses. By using analytic and top specific rubrics completed with the exemplars and training operators, reliable scoring of performance assessment can be enhanced. Reliability of oral examination. In improving oral examinations, increasing the number of questions, number of examiners, response time, and using a rubric or making guide which contains the standards and criteria may be considered. Reliability of observation. With regards to observations, observation instruments should be comprehensive so as to adequately sample occurrences and non-occurrences of behavior, but still manageable to conduct. Reliability of observation. Data from direct observation can be enhanced through the inter-observer agreement and the intra-observer reliability. Inter-observer agreement refer to the consistency of observation data gathered by multiple observers and teachers, while intra-observer reliability pertains to the consistency of the collected data on behavior multiple times by a single observer or a teacher. Here are some ways on how to improve the reliability of assessment results, and these are the following. Number one, provide more time, more questions, and more observation whenever practical so as to lengthen the assessment procedures. Number two, assess all the important aspects of the largest learning performance so as to broaden the scope of the procedure. Number three, by utilizing a systematic and more formal procedure for scoring student performance, improve objectivity. Number four, employ inter-rater reliability so as to utilize multiple markers. Number five, combine result from several assessments, especially when making critical decisions. Number six, in completing the assessment procedure, provide sufficient time to students. Number seven, by providing practice and training to students and motivating them, teach students how to perform their best. Number eight, provide tasks that are neither too easy nor too difficult and tailor the assessment to each student's ability level when possible to so as to match the assessment difficulty to the student's level of ability. Number nine, select assessment tasks which distinguish or discriminate the best from the least able students so as to differentiate among students. Here are the suggestions and recommendations on how to increase reliability of the different methods of assessment. Essay or performance-based assessment. Design a rubrics, grade item by item, grade anonymously, train evaluators. And for multiple choice tests or Likert test items, design the assessment using a table of specifications. Thank you and see you on next module, which is practicality, efficiency, and ethics.